Well, howdy from Cedar, Texas. All right, today we're doing slope, y-intercept with real-world problems. So let's look at our handy-dandy little sheet here. Yes, there's 21 questions today. And I know that that's a lot, but you need to work through it. It doesn't take that long, so let's get to it. Okay? So, just going to remind you of a few things. When you look at a graph, the first thing you need to do is say, what are the intervals? And is this line negative or positive? Remember, the intervals are how much something is going, what the amount it is going up and over with. So let's do number 2 together. It says, what is the slope of the linear function? So I'm going to say, okay, this line is positive, and I've got rise over run, and I'm going to write it every time so I don't forget and don't do it the opposite way. I'm going to look at my intervals, so it looks like it's going up by tens, and ooh, it's going over by tens. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes it will be different. Over here on number 4, it's going up by tens, but going over by twos. So be very careful when you count, okay? You got to make sure you get it right. One of the tricks I do is I can always do tens and tens right next to my rise and run, and that reminds me to count when I'm putting my number there. It'll help me remember. Now I'm going to pick 2 points. I know it doesn't look like it's there, but believe me when I say that this is going, well, I don't know. Is it going to the origin? I don't know. So let's try a different place. Let's use this spot, and let's try this spot. Now, if it does go to the origin, it's always better to start at the origin because it's just easier to count. I'm going to draw my triangle up and over, and I'm going to go up by tens. Remember, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So I've got over by 50, and then I'm going to count by tens this way too. So I've got 10, 20. Yes, it's the origin, but it's just not very clear there. So, all right, so I went up 50, over 20. I've got to simplify that. Now, some of you will know you can just get rid of your zeros and it's simplified, but we're going to go ahead and do it this way. I'm going to put 50 divided by 20. I'm going to hit math. Oh, I didn't put 20. I put 2. So that's a bad thing. Make sure you're always looking at what you put in your calculator, okay? So 20, I'm going to fix that. And I'm going to hit math, enter, enter. And it comes back as 5 over 2, which that would be B as my answer. When I said you can get rid of your zeros, if you have zeros at the end of anything, you can always just cancel them out, okay? And that gives me 5 over 2. All right, so this one wants the y-intercept. Remember, you're looking for where does the line cross the y-axis. Be careful because this is going to ask you for different things. Over here, we underlined it, but we didn't on number 3, okay? Okay, then you've got tables. Remember, you have a formula to use. Make sure you write that formula up here at least once so you don't forget. Remember that you have different tables, and you've got to make sure your y's and your x's are in the right place. Okay, that's your hint. You've got y-intercept here only, so don't be doing slope. You got y-intercept here. Look for the words, okay? The key words. Slope, slope, okay? Let's see. Let's go over here. This should be pretty quick. You've got to find the graph that matches the chart. One way you could do it is you can break it down to how much is each, especially because the x's are going by each. Remember that when you have a chart, when it's laid sideways, where's your x's and where are your y's? Think. Your x's are always on top and your y's are always on the bottom. So when you're using your formula, you should be able to know, but you also, in this instance, if you want to know how much it's each, because these are linear, you can just divide 75 by 3 and you'll have your answer, the change in y over the change in x. Okay? Don't forget number 14. It wants to know what the slope is, and that's how much each. Okay? Slope is always based on each. All right? Let's see here. That's rate of change. All right. We got 15. So for question 15, 16, and 17, you're going to use this table and this graph. Okay? All this is just fluff. All you got to do is find the one that matches. All right? You've got 15, okay, y-intercept. It wants to know what's the y-intercept of that graph back there. Do you see I've put the points here? So you've got number of phone calls and cost in dollars. Always read the size of your graph. It wants to know what the y-intercept is. So these should go pretty quick, okay? Y-intercept is really easy, and slope is really easy also. So get started. I don't want to take up any more of your time. If you have questions, ask me. Be careful where you put your dots on these lines, okay? Remember, it has to be where it's crossing, okay? It has to be at the hashtag. It can't be in the middle. You can't use this spot right here. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to come in, and I want you to see. You can't use the spot in the middle of the square. So if you ever have a dot in the middle of the square, like on the test, you cannot use that, okay? So have a great day and get started.